I literally ran the halls of the trade school off of St. Charles Street in Houma as an infant all the way up till I was 12, 13 years old. I became part of the South Louisiana Trade School through my grandfather, Harold Willis, H.B. Willis, which was the founder of the trade school in Houma. And he was from Shudrick, Louisiana. My grandfather applied for a job that he heard about where the state of Louisiana was going to open up 5 different trade schools in the South Louisiana area. And one of them was in Houma. He got the job. Well, the hard part came was that he had to go back home and tell my grandmother, Louise, I got a new job. And she says, where at? And he says, Houma, Louisiana. She goes, where's Houma, Louisiana? My grandfather was principal and director for 16 years. But in that section, he caught tuberculosis and had to go up to Greenville Springs Hospital out of Baton Rouge. And that's when Mr. Luther Fletcher came in.
I'm Luther E. Fletcher II. And the reason I say the second, because my father was one of the first directors at that time, South Louisiana Trade School. My father was teaching and was the assistant principal at South Terrebonne when they opened it up. Then Daddy moved back into the guidance department and worked more with the students there, helping them to get into college, get a job, and it kept growing and growing. And like I said, he didn't start the school, it was there. But he helped to make it move forward faster and grow faster and involve more people. He walked those halls, walked those business areas, mechanic shop. You might see him with a jacket and tie on today. Tomorrow he was going to be in a short sleeve shirt. He's going to be in those departments. The students there knew who he was. All the instructors knew who he was because he was around. What a lot of people don't know about this facility now in St. Charles Street is that it was being considered to just close that down. The population going was small. And you had the junior high right across the street from it. And down the street, you had the high school, big old parking lot with kids parked everywhere. You had the school bus garage right next. So it was almost like it didn't exist. I started being involved over there. There was really no hallways to walk. You had the upstairs department that had a few classrooms, but most of that, the walking was to the business areas, to the machine shop, to the welding department, because that was, at that time, about 75% of what Fletcher was.
Back when I started in the early 90s, maybe the curb appeal wasn't what it is today, but that building on St. Charles Street belied the capability of the transformative nature of what is Fletcher Technical Community College and what it has come to be. It might not have been pretty, but it was very practical, and it changed people's lives.
When I drive up here and look and see, I said, Lordy, I remember that one little old brick building running on there with shell driveway. Some of the first courses was diesel mechanic, auto mechanic, and welding. And then the nurses were starting a program, and it grew a little bit. And the next thing you know, the business department was growing.
Then later, I remember electrical came in, and then air conditioning. I remember that.
And then first thing you know, they didn't have a place to put everybody. That's when they started adding buildings and adding parts to it. But then they started adding a lot to the education part of it. And that's when Fletcher started growing more and more.
Went to South Louisiana Trade School in 1957 and 58 for 2 years. The trade school was across the road from Terrebonne High. And what we did was we went to class in the morning, and then we go across the street and go to South Louisiana Trade School in the afternoon. It was a program that the school system had where you could go to trade school while you still going to high school. A 2-year drafting with me is what turned my life around and getting a job with a major engineering firm. And if it wouldn't been for me deciding to go to a drafting school when I was in high school. No telling what I'd be doing today, because it became a big part of my life as I went down looking for a job.
Fletcher changes lives because of the opportunities that they give the people of our area. It helps businesses, but it also helps us to be able to move forward and to reach things possibly a lot of us never thought we could.
The facility on 311 transformed this college. It was the next step in taking it from the technical college that was on St. Charles Avenue and transitioning to a true technical community college. The buildings was just the foundation for what was happening behind the scenes as a culture. I see how this town has grown and changed and how the community's changed, but the school has changed with it. This college is small enough that it can flex and bend with the community that it serves.
One of Fletcher Technical Community College's great strengths for decades is a legacy ability to listen, develop relationships, and to serve business and industry, and then develop programs that were custom made, either academic or certification or customized training, so that we could train and provide graduates for this region.
When I went to the Votech in Thibodaux, it was definitely a much smaller campus, less classes, less instructors. Being here at the new college, it offers so much more. There's so many more programs. So Fletcher has really helped me. Being a young mom, I was able to provide for my child, working as an LPN. And I've been working as an LPN for 27 years now. And so the Bridge program is really helpful because I can continue to work, manage my children's schedules, and go back to school to get my degree. So that's been really helpful.
I do believe that this institution has always tried to step up in the most meaningful way for what the community needed at that time.
It takes a lot of like-minded people in the community to support the college. It takes a staff that is dedicated and believes in the mission. You need to believe that you're changing lives.
In the early days, the leaders at Fletcher, and this is before we became really a comprehensive community college, right? They so believed in the value and in the importance of technical education, of vocational education, that they, even in times where I think everybody was saying everybody needs to go to a 4-year, that there were these people who were still deeply passionate about vocational and technical education in a way that ensured that it didn't go away when it became uncool.
When you see the opportunities that students have and what they can accomplish, well, at least you helped them to get here. They did the work, but you helped them create the opportunity for them to be able to do it. That was what was so satisfying. It was a job, but there was so many pleasant things associated with it, and the opportunity, since I loved education, to develop something that would help someone else. So my wife will tell you that couldn't hardly get me to quit working and retire because I was enjoying it so much.
That's one of the things that I love and appreciate about this institution, is that I do believe that individuals who are affiliated with us, whether it's our students or our faculty and staff or our board or whoever, that they have this deep belief in why we're here and what our purpose is and what our mission is in this community. After COVID and after Ida and all the things that happened, we didn't sit back and say, we're gonna figure this out our own. I mean, we were picking up the calls and saying, who can help us? Who's got resources? Who's got knowledge? Let's come together. And I hope that we did that for the community as well. People weren't afraid to pick up the phone and call me and say, we need help in this particular area. Can you do it? And when you find somebody who wants to overcome the challenges, I find that people will always say, yes, let me help you figure that out. So I think the community did that for us. I think we've done that for the community. But even more impactful is that I think we do that for our students.
Perhaps the thing that made me proudest of being here at Fletcher for the times that I spent both in the beginning of my career and in my time in 2015 was working with an extraordinary team that turned stumbling blocks into stepping stones, that tackled everything from storms to COVID to budget, and just no matter what, worked smarter, worked harder, all for this community.
What this community needs today is not what they'll need tomorrow. And you've got to be ready for that. And that's the beauty of a community technical college. You change with your community.
We continue to embrace what we have done in the first 75 years that we've talked about, right? It is about pivoting, it is about adapting, it is about evolving and innovating in a way that the institution has been able to remain relevant. My hope for the next 75 years is that we continue to do more of that we don't become fearful of the challenges we face, that we become stuck. For me, what that looks like today is building a strong foundation. It is building the core, what I would consider the core essential parts of the institution in a way that whoever picks up this torch next, that we are handing to them a strong, solid foundation from which they can elevate the institution and they can evolve.
It's really kind of pounds your heart to see, how much growth is taken and how many people are being helped now by Fletcher. They can go to work, they can go to college, they can learn a good trade, they can learn to teach and to be taught. So great changes has taken place from one little building with a little shell driveway.
It means something to all of our alums out there who have Fletcher Technical Community College on their diploma, on their certificate, on their degree. And so it's important that people understand what that means. It's important that they see value in that. But it's also important, and look, who knows what 75 years from now we're going to be called, right? And it may be Fletcher Technical Community College, and that would be amazing. But if it's something else, I hope that it is a change because it means that we are evolving with the community and what that community needs.